Hello guys, welcome to Charities Bubble USA, your number one channel. I hope you're fine. I hope I'm talking to someone, guys. We are almost to 10,000 subscribers, and we only have 800 remaining. Let me say 800. So guys, please, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly help me to reach 10,000 subscribers. And I'm gonna talk about some of your questions, give you some feedback as I go back home, coming from school. See, in the evening I'm coming from school, so I was like, this is a good chance for me to do a video, and I trust that you have been doing very, very, very well. I should do a visa bulletin soon. I'm gonna do that in the course of this week. I've been very occupied, and so I'm gonna do that one. But I want to talk about some few things, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly consider subscribing. For those who are new, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Charity Ng'ang'a. This is Charities Bubble USA. We talk about the DV lottery, we talk about other things that are related to the American life. So this is a small road that I am in. I hope you can see how dry everything has become. Everything. But these trees, they look very, very dry, but if you cut them, they are still wet. You know, they've just dried up, and they're using a little bit of moisture. But as soon as the weather starts to change and we get to spring, everything is gonna spring back to normal. The grass that is so dry is gonna become green again. The trees are gonna become green again, and it's gonna be good. So here we experience all the 4 seasons, whereby in winter it's very, very, very dry. Everything is dry. It doesn't look very good. There's a lot of leaves everywhere. And then in spring, everything like just comes out to life. You know, everything becomes green. Of course, there are some people who have allergies during spring because everything is budding out. There's all that pollen that's going on, so you find that some people have allergies. And then after spring, we go to summer. Summer is very, very, very hot. Oh my gosh, guys, it's very, very hot in summer. That you can barely even go outside after 10 a.m. in the morning. You cannot, because it's very, 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 very hot. And I do remember last year, what happened is that there was a time that it became very, very, very hot. The temperatures were going up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was so hot that you would get outside, and by the time you come inside, your skin would be dark. So you can imagine our skin, we are already dark, and then you're going outside and you're, you know, those rays of the sun, and those can be very dangerous. So normally in summer, we normally make use of a sunscreen. You must have a sunscreen during summer. When you're going out, people like to go swimming and all that. People like to travel in summer. And summer is good because kids have closed school. When they close in May, they will go back to school in August, actually mid-August. So that's a really, really good time for vacation. And then we go to fall. Fall, things start drying up, trees start falling, there's a lot of wind, there's a lot of, you know, when you open your garage, all the leaves come to your garage. So we experience all 4 seasons, and that is good, guys. Now, I want to talk about a few things that were on the video. First of all, I want to talk about the family unit, because the family unit, guys, is very important in the DV lottery, like very, very, very important. And this is to answer a question for a person who had asked me that they did apply the DV lottery. I hope that I get their question well and I'm able to answer it well, because they said that they did apply for the DV lottery, but they applied with one child, and then the other child, I think he or she was living in another place. So when they made the application, that child was not there, and now they were asking if they can add that child over there. Now, I want us to go all the way back to the rules of the DV lottery, because the rules of DV lottery are very standard. So normally, what happens is this, and this is very easy and very standard, is that when you are applying for the DV lottery and you have a family, and this is for the new people, and to answer that question that that person had asked about adding, they tell you that you must list all your children, biological children. You must list you must list all your biological children and stepchildren, even if you do not live with them. So what does that mean? That means that maybe you are married, or maybe you had an affair somewhere, or you had a side chick, or you had a mbaba. I heard that they are being called wababa nowadays. And you had that child, and that child is not living with both parents. Now, when you are applying the DV lottery, you are required to include those children. That is the first thing. Whether you are living with them or not, it doesn't matter, but you have to apply them on the DV lottery. The second type of children that you are supposed to apply is your legally adopted children. If you have kids that you have adopted, you must list them in the DV lottery. Very, very important. Okay? So, let's assume you want the DV lottery, you put some of the kids and you did not put others, and you want to add the ones that you had not put. That one is going to automatically make them disqualify you, because you have not followed their rules. You haven't followed the DV lottery rules. So it's very, very important for you to know that. You have to list everybody. Now, let us come to the spouse, because there's another one who was like, what if I apply when I am single, and then I am married, and then I want to add someone? Now, guys, when you look at that form, when you're doing the application, it has different slots that you have to fill out, whereby if you're single, there's a slot. If you're married to a non-US citizen, there's a slot that you have to enter. If you're married to a US citizen, then you click on that whatever that area. If you're divorced, there's a place for you to click on. If you are widowed or a widower, there's a place for you to enter your status, your marital status. Now, so if you filled out that you are single, and then after you have won your DV lottery, you want to tell them that you're married and you want to add someone there, that one might be a potential problem. I'm not going to say that it's going to be a problem like 100%, but it might be a potential problem, and they might ask you questions. Especially, I think it would be like a major problem, especially if you won your DV lottery in May and then in June you got married, and then when you're filling your DS-260, you want to add those people there. Now, guys, that one is going to make them disqualify you, because when you read the rules, and it's very, very important for us to go to that website, travel.state.gov, and read about the rules of the DV lottery, because they are there. And you know what I have realized about here, even going to school, like right now I'm in school, you find that there are some rules that you have to follow for school, and it's for any other school. And you find that, let's assume like you went against one of the rules or the guidelines. Let me call them guidelines. One of the guidelines, you went against them and they were listed in the book. Normally what happens is that they will go to the book and they will read for you, and then they will ask you, were you aware of this? Of course, you're not going to say no, because it's there for you to read and understand. And if you have a question, you're supposed to ask. You see what I mean? So it's very, very important, guys. Very, very, very important for you guys to read rules. Because if you do not, and you have applied, and then you are, when you win, you are like, oh my God, let me add these people so that we can go. Those are some of the reasons that make people not to get to the DV lottery even after they have won. Because what they do is that so many people have applied. Now, like if you look at Kenya, 4 million have applied for the DV lottery. So if they have applied for the DV lottery, they must look for the people who have excelled. They have followed all the rules. They are not breaking any rules, and only if you follow all their rules is when you get that visa. Winning a DV lottery doesn't mean that you're gonna get a visa. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So guys, I need you to go back there. And I told you we have a problem whereby we do not read the rules very well. We don't read the rules very well. And sometimes we tend to listen to what other people are saying, especially these DV lottery things. Because, you know, I receive a lot of feedback, and then I'm like, this person, either they had this information from another person, or, and I can tell if you haven't read the, you know, the rules. Because if you are thinking of applying for the DV lottery, or you're thinking of like even processing your DV lottery, then you must be familiar with the DV lottery rules. Because if you're not, then you will end up either you have gone to the embassy, they will tell you they need additional information, or you will go to the embassy, you have added people there, and they are going to deny you the visa. So you have to read the rules. It's very, very important for you guys to do that. Now, so I've talked about kids, and I've talked about adding people, the spouse or the kids. So initially, guys, you must include everybody for the DV lottery. Now let's talk about child support. Oh my gosh, I'm still on the highway. I'm going home. This road doesn't have a lot of cars, and I like it because I don't have to pay the tag. There's another one that you pass and you have to pay the tag. So I like the easy way. This is the easy way. Now, let's talk about child support, because you know, in Africa, I know things are changing right now, but there was a time that men used to get away with everything. A man, you get married, and then you have kids, and then they leave you with your kids. That was in the earlier days. And then you bring up your kids, and then they show up on the wedding day. I've seen that happen. Nowadays, even ladies, they are leaving their kids and abandoning them and going to enjoy life by themselves. Now, here is a little bit different, because everybody is held accountable for their, you know, for their actions. Their actions have consequences. So there is no way that you are gonna have kids and you decide that you're gonna move on with another person and not take care of those children. So let's assume you had a job and your wife had a job, so you had kids, and one of you decided to abandon the other one. There are so many reasons why people separate. And some of them are valid, some of them are invalid, some of them are debatable. I don't want to get into that, because marriage is a complex institution that it has to be dealt with individually, you know. So I don't want to get into the complexity of marriage, but I want to get into kids. Now I find that here in the US, let's assume like you came from Africa, and it's a different culture, guys. It's a very, very different culture that you need to understand. And you're coming in, and you're used to the kids belong to the mom. I know it's a little bit different in different tribes, especially in Kenya, whereby you go when it's Western, the Western people, you know, like the Nyanza, the Western, they tend to, especially the men, you cannot carry their kids with you. But when you come to Central, oh my gosh, oh goodness, they have failed miserably. They will leave you, and they will leave you with your children to take care of. But if your children succeed in anything, they will want to come back and claim those kids. That's what's happened. So let's assume you came from Central. And I'm not saying the Central men are bad, but there are some who are bad. Because I come from Central, so I like to talk about what I know. And so let's assume that you had that. You came here, and you married, or you already had your wife, and you decided that you don't want them anymore, or you want to move on with your life, which is okay. Like I said, marriage is a complex whatever thing, then you do not want to take care of those kids, and you're working. Now your spouse can decide to report you, and you can go to court, and you have to pay your dues to take care of those kids. So if you're working and you refuse, because some people refuse, some people say that they're not going to pay child support, they're not going to like hold a gun on your head and say that you must pay it. No, what they do is that they garnish your money. That means that if you get a paycheck, maybe you're being paid like $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever money that you're making, you find that that money is going to be deducted. It's going to be deducted, and it's going to be given to the other spouse who is responsible for those kids, so that they can provide for them. So your check can be garnished. I do remember there was a time that I was working with this guy, and he had 3 kids, and they had separated with the wife, and so he hadn't paid child support like for a while, and then he got this job, and then when he was going to look at his paycheck, he was wondering what happened to my paycheck. You know what I mean? And then when later he came to tell us that his check had been garnished because he wasn't paying child support. So that one happens. So the best thing for anybody who is coming here in the US is that if in any way, because I know like people divorce, people separate, make sure that you are thinking about your kids, because you have to provide for them, because those are your children. That's very, very important, that they are your children. So have that in mind. Even if it's a mom, a lady, and they decide that they don't want those kids anymore, they leave them with the dad, they will pay child support. Also, let's assume like both of you are incompetent. You are not able to take care of your kids. Now, by that I mean you're not able to provide for them a shelter. You're not able to provide them food to eat. You are not able even to take them even something simple, like even simple doctor checkups, that you are neglecting them. You find that those kids can be taken away. And if those kids are taken away, of course, they can be taken to a foster home. There are some people who do fostering, like families, they just decide that they're going to foster and help those kids who are in need. So what happens is that if the parents are alive and they are working, they will pay child support to take care of those kids, even if they are in a foster home or wherever they are. They must pay. So that's how it is over here, and you have to understand that, guys. So when you're coming to the US, you have to have that in mind, that can happen to you. So, and I'm not saying that you if you stay in a healthy marriage or whatever, but keep in mind that if those kids, you have them, then you must take care of them. That's you know, that's fine. You know, you have to take care of them, or you find yourself in a lot of trouble. You see what I mean? So that's very, very, very important for you guys to know. Now, I also I didn't understand this question very well, but I hope that I'm trying to think about the way she was asking me, because she was saying, can I apply a green card at home? I don't understand that, but what I know is that if you live in the Middle East, or you live in Britain, or you live in wherever, or maybe you are in the US and you came as a student, you can still apply for your green card anywhere. You can do your application for the green card anywhere. And let's assume you live in the Middle East and you are just by yourself, you don't have family or anything. You can apply for your green card, and then you process it, and then because there's an embassy. As long as there's an American embassy in the country that you're living in, then you can process. The only thing that you cannot do is because there's gonna ask you about the country of origin, country of birth, where you are born, and they're gonna ask you the place that you live today. Even if you left your country and you're living in another country, you will still list where you are born as your first option, because they will ask for that. And of course your passport is going to be from that country that you are born, unless maybe you went to another country and you became a citizen. So it doesn't matter. You don't necessarily have to go back to your country to go and apply for the green card. No, you can apply anywhere, but they will ask you questions like, what is your country of birth? What is the country that you live in today? They will ask you all that. Those slots are there when you're doing your first application. And then after you have won your DV lottery, if let's assume like you have been living in a place for like more than 6 months, and that is not your country, then you will be required to get a certificate of good conduct, something like a background check from where that you are living, so that you can go with it to the embassy or send it. I think you fill out that information, and right now you don't. Before we used to mail it, but right now there's no mailing. They don't mail anymore. So what happens is that I think you submit that stuff online, and you have to take your copies to your interview. So that's very, very important for you to know. So you don't need to go back home to go and do for the DV lottery. Now you can apply anywhere. Now let's also talk about this parent who was asking. They have applied for the DV lottery, and they had an 18-year-old, and the 18-year-old still applied for the DV lottery. So they did apply for him, and he applied for himself, and they won. So if you won, then your 18-year-old, you can include him on your winning, because like I said on a previous video, is that kids do not age out. They do not age out. normally what happens is that even if they turn 21 and your DV lottery hasn't been processed, they will still go ahead and get processed. Like, you know, they will still go ahead and get processed. That's very, 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 very good, because it doesn't like kick them out simply because they are 21. But if it's because if they are 21 or 18, if they do not have kids, if they have kids, then that one they become they become ineligible. Like you can't apply for someone who has a child, because at the same time you cannot include your grandkids in your DV lottery. So those are some of the things that you guys need to know. Now let's talk about the email, guys. I've done the DV lottery, I think right now for 2 years since I started my YouTube channel, because that's all that I talk about. And when we apply for the DV lottery, there's an email address, and that email address, when you're doing your first application, you enter it the first time and you enter it the second time, and then after that you submit. And that email is the one that you are gonna use to check. Now, this person was saying that they forgot their password. Now, resetting the password is very easy, guys. You know, just reset your password. Of course, there is the phone number that is linked to your password. Go and try and reset your password. That's an easy thing. The only problem is if you have forgotten your email address. Now, that's gonna be trouble, because you have to remember it. And like I said, and I've been saying, is that if you have a smartphone, the best thing is to have your email opened in your phone. Then when you have it opened in your phone, then it's gonna be easy. Even when they send you stuff, you will be able to see it. Like I told you guys, why I started my YouTube channel is because when we won our DV lottery, there is so much that we did not know, guys. So much that we did not know. Because I do remember, and I've said this several times, is that I did not see the 2NL email until we were like a month. Actually a month, yeah, close to a month before going to a month and a half, I think, to go to the interview process. Because nobody had like told me that if you had to keep on checking your email, because that's how you will be notified for your 2NL, not for your initial winning. Your initial winning, you have to go in there to the computer, you go with your confirmation number and you check for yourself. But the 2NL, they will communicate with you through that email. So that email is very, very important, guys. Very, like it's an important email that you have to, that one you have to know, guys. So if you have lost your password, that one you can reset very easily. Just remember the email that is linked to your password, or the phone number that is linked to your password, and then you will be able to reset your email. So I hope that one is good and is clear. Now, there is someone else who was reaching out, and they were like, oh, I organized the way I can get to them housekeeping jobs, and what else? Jobs for housekeeping, and yeah, jobs for housekeeping. So let me tell you guys, and it's good to be honest, with all honesty. If I needed a housekeeper right now, and I invited someone from Kenya or any other country, doesn't matter, and I said that they are coming, I give them the work for housekeeping, the probability for them to come and to go and get a visa is 0. Because when you go to the embassy, you have different kinds of visas. Now, when you win the DV lottery, that one, it eliminates most of the hurdles that people face, or most of the challenges that people face when they go to, excuse me, when they go to ask for a visa. Because you guys know that getting a visa can be a little bit challenging. Not even, you know, it's a challenge even from the beginning, because you have to think about the amount that you have to raise for you to get into that appointment. And you know that by the time you go to the appointment, even if they deny you, they're still not going to refund your money. So it can still be a challenge. So if you go to the embassy and they tell them that someone has called you for their work for housekeeping, they're not going to give you a visa. No, they will not. Because it's either a DV lottery, it's either a visit visa. You have come to visit. Maybe you're going for a graduation, you're going for a funeral, or you're going even to visit Disney. You know? You know, as long as you're showing that you have enough money and and you are able to go back, you have some roots, you know, something that you are linked to in your country, that you will be able to go back to, like you will go back to, like that proves to the consular that you will go back, then they don't have a problem with giving you a visa. But if you show up and tell them that I am going for a housekeeping job, they're not going to give you that, because that's a different, that is not going to work. So let's assume that you have been invited with a B1 and B2 visa. You came for a conference, you came for a wedding, you came for a graduation, you came for a funeral. Now that is what you came to do. Can that visa help you work? No, it cannot help you work. Nobody is going to give you a job with that one at that moment, because it's different. Because I was having a conversation with this girl, and she has a visa, yes, and everything, but it's a B1, B2 visa. Because I like to talk about what I have seen, and what I have, what I know, and what I have had discussions with some of the people. And one of the things is that she has that visa, yes, but she wanted to come and work, because I asked, what are your goals? There's some traffic over here because the road is being built, and there's another road that comes from the roundabout, so here it's a little bit slower. So what's the goal? So the goal for that person, that specific person, was that they want to come and work. But when you look at the visa, it's a B1 and B2 visa. Now, there are two ways to it. If someone comes in with a B1 and B2 visa and I tell them that I'm going to get them a job, then I will be lying to them. Because where am I gonna, because the first thing that they ask when you go, especially in Kansas, I've lived in Kansas, so I like to talk about Kansas. I don't know about any other state, but I want to talk about Kansas. Because the first thing that you do when you come in, you have to have a social. They will ask you for a social. And this is even me, myself, as a US citizen. I do remember just the other day I went to look for a job, and I had my social. So I did give them my, no, what didn't I have? No, I forgot my social, guys. So when I forgot my social, when I was going to talk into that lady, she was like, where's your social? I was like, I forgot it. But then by luck, I had my passport card. So I told her, so she was like, we can't do the interview if you don't have your social. You see what I mean? So that one had already eliminated me because I had forgotten my social in the house. But I had my passport card. So I did give it to her, and then she was like, oh, this one I'm going to go and see if you are eligible to work, or you are allowed to work. So I gave her my passport card, and he was fine. So I like to talk about what I know. So if I go with a person and they don't have a social, or they don't have a green card, or they don't have a passport here in Kansas, then they won't get a job. So why would I encourage someone and tell them, oh, come and I'm going to give you a job? You're not able to, because they have to verify, is this person allowed to work? You understand what I mean? So those are some of the things that you have to know, that you have a different type of visa that does not allow you to work. Can you come and visit? Yes, of course, you can come and visit. You know what I mean? You have the visa, you can go to the embassy and say, I want to go and visit. But when you go and visit, if you have the mind that the person that you're going to visit, that they're going to get you a job, then they will be lying to you that they're going to get you one, especially here in Kansas. I don't know about any other state. I'm talking about Kansas. So it's very, very important for you guys to know that. The type of visa. Let's assume you came as a student. When you come in as a student, of course, they expect you to pay your school fees for your school year. That school year, you have to pay for accommodation, unless maybe there's someone who lives here in the US and they are sponsoring you. They expect you to do that. Of course, after you have stayed in the college and everything, there are resources that you can go and ask, especially if your parents cannot afford to pay for you the fees or anything, and they will let you work. But there are steps that they have, guidelines that you have to follow for you to be able to do that. And you have to know that. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that it depends on the type of visa that you have. And for me, there is no way I'll ever come here in this YouTube channel and tell you if you have a B1 and B2 visa, then you come and you're going to come and work here in Kansas. No, I'll be lying to you. You'll be frustrated, because there is nobody who's going to hire you. Even me as a US citizen, I have to show proof that I have to show my social, I have to show my passport card or whatever. They won't give me a job, just like that. They will not. So that's important for you guys to know. So that when you are going or when you're coming in, because even if, let's assume you have a visa and you decided, then I'm going to go back and visit again in the US. You have a visa. Nobody is going to stop you from coming. But when you come to the port of entry and you have that B1 and B2 visa and you tell them that you're coming in to work, then they're going to take you back. There are some people who have come in all the way from Africa and they have reached the border and they were asked, what are you going to do? I'm going to work. Who are you going to work for with the B1 and B2 visa? So you have to know these things, guys, so that you do not get lost, or you do not come to someone and they have promised you that they are going to do 1, 2, 3, and maybe they have kids. Let's assume like they have kids. And when they have kids, they don't have anybody to babysit them and they would like cheap labor. You don't want to be someone who is coming to babysit someone's kids when you came to the US simply because you don't have papers. Something like that can happen to you, because who else is going to hire you? And then let's assume like you got that job, like someone, because you had a B1 and B2 visa and you're watching someone's kids. Do you think that they're going to pay you what you're supposed to be paid? No. Childcare it's expensive here in the US. Very, very, very expensive. So it's going to be hard. Very, very, very hard for you. So those are some of the things that you have to know. And I like to talk about this because I know there's someone else out there who has the same challenge. So look at the type of visa that you're going to get and know what is it for. How do you know? Go to the website and read about those kinds of visas, because all of them have guidelines, guys. And my work here is just to let you know that this, and this is like what you are required to do, or what you are required to know, and this is what you are required to expect. This is what you are required to expect, because now like a student visa or a B1, B2 visa, those are non-immigrant visas. Non-immigrant means that you are temporary. But the DV lottery is an immigrant. That means that you move your country, you come and live in this country, you stay for a little bit, you work, you're allowed to work, you just go and get your social. Even nobody asks you a question. Even when you go to get your social, you're not going to be charged anything. Oh, goodness. So, that person is driving on the wrong side of the road. Oh my gosh. So, I hope that one is clear, guys. Because mine is just to, just to tell you the reality. Because things happen and there are some people who come up and they tell you, oh, this and this and this and this. No. Go read about it. And you will find out, like, the right information. Now, let's talk about kids. So there's another one who was asking at what age the kids go to school. Now, like right now, my daughter is going to be 4 years old, my youngest. And I'm going to enroll her in school when she is 4 years old. But the school that she's not going to go to is pre-K. I think pre-K, yeah. She doesn't go for the whole day. So she goes from, like, for 3 hours. So does that give me a lot of room? No, it doesn't, because I have to 3 hours take her to school and then go and get her from school. So that's the first one. So they can go when they are 4. You can even enroll them maybe, but less than 4 is very young, maybe 3.5. But they will have to repeat pre-K. So it's good to wait until they are 4. And that is if they turn 4 by August 30th, 31st. Because that's when the school year starts. If they are turning, let's assume like your child was born before August, that is September, April, June, and November, all the rest have 31. So August has 31. So 31, and they are turning 4 years old, you can enroll them to pre-K. But let's assume that they were born in September. That will put them behind. That means that they will always have to be, they will not, they will go. Yes, they can go to pre-K because they are 4. But when it comes to go to first grade, they are not going to go to first grade if they do not turn 6 years old before August 31st. Because August 31st is like the deadline for you to turn, because the school starts in August. So they have to turn that specific age at that time. So there are some who will be left behind. For example, now my daughter, she's lucky, my youngest, because her birthday is on 29th of August. So 29th of August, that means that she will turn 4 before August 31st. So before she turns 4, I will take her to school, and she will be in pre-K. She's gonna go through pre-K, and then she's gonna go through kindergarten, and she's gonna go through first grade without any hindrance. But let's assume like she was born in October. Like for example, my Christine was born in October. So when we took her to school, she wasn't turning, especially when we came in from Kenya, she wasn't turning 4. Yeah, she wasn't turning 4. No, yeah, she wasn't turning 5 because she was in pre-K. So what happened is that she stayed that class behind because she didn't turn. I hope you understand. So they have to be 4 years old before they start school. And if they are not 4, they have to turn before August 31st. So that's the first thing that you have to know when you're taking your kids to school. Then from there, you roll like that. So it's not hard, but just know that the first year they're gonna be 3 hours. That is whether it's private or is public, it doesn't matter. They will go for 3 hours. And then you can go pick them up. That's going to be a whole year and whatever. Now, let's assume there's something else that I needed to tell you about school. And I think I have forgotten. So if I remember, I'm going to tell you before this video ends. I think my mind is tired, guys. I think my mind is tired. So there's another one who was talking about nursing. And they have a child who finished school. And they didn't do very well and in math. They passed, but they didn't do very well in math. And I know it's very strict especially to get into maybe a nursing school or whatever, especially if you don't pass in math in Kenya. I know that can be a challenge, but you find that there are some classes that you can do. You know, if you don't do, I remember when we finished school, but it was ages ago. Oh my gosh, I finished high school a long time ago. So, oh my goodness. And I'm still in school. Oh gosh. So, let's talk about math. I do remember that there were some people who wanted to go to university, but they didn't do well in math. So, there are classes that you can do to supplement your grade. So you go and do those math classes. I'm not sure what they are, but I know they're there. You do them, and then you supplement your grade. Even if you didn't have a good grade in math, when you do those ones, it's like it's a different course that you have done for math. It helps you to get into college. That's what most people did. And that was a while ago. So I believe even right now, those things have been upgraded and you can do that. Another thing is that if someone wants to come to the school in the US, nobody can stop you from doing that. The first thing that you need to have is a good bank statement, or someone who is going to sponsor you with a good bank statement. That is the first thing that you need to have. And then, of course, you have to have the school fees to show that you are able to pay. We know when you go to the embassy, they will want to know, are you able to pay for a whole school year? And are you able to pay for accommodation? You have to have all that. That's the first thing. I'm not sure how much international students pay here in the US, but I know that they pay more than the regular students. Like for example, if I went to school right now, I'm going to school, and someone else is an international student, we don't pay the same price. That one I know. That one is for sure. We don't pay the same price. And I find that I might apply for a financial aid, I might get a grant, but you find that they might not be able to get a grant, but I know there are resources. There are resources that help them to get scholarships and all that when they come in here. And of course, when they have hardship, they can go and talk to their counselor or whoever is in charge, and they have resources for those people. But you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that there's a bank statement that shows that you are able to take care of your education. That one is a must. And of course, you can work the first when people go in the first year, they are given, sometimes you're given jobs in the college. You can work in the library, you can work in the bookstore, not the bookstore, the clothing store, or anything. You know, they have jobs that they give people and you can apply for those ones. But what I wanted to say, that is just, that's just like some ideas that I'm giving, is that if someone wants to come and study here in the US, they must apply for a school. They must be able to apply for a school. So when you apply, our school year starts in August. So now this is the last semester of this of 2023. Now year 2023-2024 is gonna start in August, mid-August. That is after summer. So you can apply even right now. We are in February. You can apply and expect to do all your things. Of course, when you apply and you have been admitted, they will ask you for an I-20, and then you'll go to the embassy. You have to have a bank statement. You have to prove beyond reasonable doubt that after you finish school, you will be able to go back home. That one, you have to do that, and then after you have been given the visa, then you can come and go to school. That's how it works. Now, let's assume that you didn't get a visa, or maybe you cannot afford the money to come to school in the US, because it's going to be a little bit more, because it's in dollars. So if you compare the dollar and the shilling, right now the shilling is doing very bad. It's not doing well at all. I normally have to know that, because if I am sending money to someone at home, I always have to see how much is the shilling trending. Or, I look at it, I'm like, I look at the time that the shilling is trending is not doing very well. That's when I like sending money, because it's gonna be more to the person I'm sending for money at home. You see what I mean? So you can so if you didn't do very well in math and they require that one, then you can do those extra classes for math, and then you improve. It's not gonna improve your certificate grade, but it's gonna place you at a higher level, because you've done math. There's something that you have done about your grade, and you have another different thing that shows that you're good in math. You see what I mean? So, and then you apply for nursing school, and then you go through nursing school and you finish. After you're done with nursing school, you become an RN, a registered nurse, not an LPN, not a CNA, a registered nurse. So when you become a registered nurse, then there are agencies that normally bring people here to work, whereby you can apply with them. And then when you apply with them, they will tell you their guidelines, and they will guide you until you come here to the US. They will even guide you even to do the exam, because you have to do the board exam for you to be certified. And then you will be able to come here and work with a work visa. See? And when you come here to work with a work visa, you come, and you can come with your family, you can come with your kids, but you are here under a work visa. So those are some of the things that you can do, and try to improve the outcome, because at the end of the day, you look at the long run, you look at the outcome. So you can still go to school in Kenya, you can still improve that class, and be able to pursue what. And then so now I remembered what I wanted to talk about. Now, if you're coming to, let's assume you wanted to come here and become a nurse or a doctor or an engineer or a what. When you come in, you don't just say that I'm going to become a nurse, and you are, and then you go direct and you do nursing classes. No, that's not what you do. When you go to a college, first of all, they will, of course, you'll do an entrance exam, depending on where you are at. Because when you submit your certificates, whatever they will tell you to submit them, they will do an equivalency, whereby they will say maybe you reached Form 4, that's a GED. And then you will go and do an entrance exam. When you do an entrance exam, you'll do English, you'll do math, and then science, I think, yeah. And then they will gauge where you are at. So, of course, they will tell you have to do English languages, you have to do math, you have to do something like anatomy and physiology, you have to do speech. Like they are called general education classes that you have to do as a prerequisite or as a requirement for you to enter nursing school. So you won't come direct and go to nursing school direct. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to do prerequisites, and then when you do your prerequisites, then you will do a TEAS test, or a nursing entrance test. Like a test, after you have done all your prerequisites, you've done nutrition, you've done A&P, you've done math, you do intermediate algebra, you do college algebra, and you do, there's another class. Yeah, it varies. Let me say that it varies with colleges, because there are some who will want you to do other different classes like pathophysiology and all that stuff. And also it depends on what, are you pursuing a bachelor's degree or are you just pursuing like a advanced or whatever, an associate degree. It depends on what you want to do. Then, so you have to do that test. There are some who call it a TIS test. Another one is like a Kaplan entrance test, like the test that's gonna determine that you are accepted, and you have to reach a certain grade or a certain percentage for you to be accepted in nursing school. Like I told you guys, I did that test 3 times. I failed the first time, I failed the second time, the third time I got it. So it's not, I'm not going to tell you that it's hard or it's easy. It all depends. What was dropping me is English, guys. English grammar. Because the way they pronounce stuff here, and it's always a challenge, guys, especially to people who have come from other countries, especially when they come to the US, because you find that in the US some things are pronounced differently, like very, very differently. So you will see a word, you have never seen that word. It's not that you don't know what it is. When it is explained to you, you know what it is, but before you have seen that word, you are like, what is this? You know, you don't know that word. But even if you do not know that word, when you go to revise or when you go to look it up, you see, oh my gosh, it's a different meaning for this word. For example, if I say prerequisite is a requirement. So before, when I came into the US, I was like, what's a prerequisite? But then looking at it and trying to look at the other meaning, is like, it's a requirement. What is required for you to do? So that's what was making me to fail. It's not the science, it's not the math, it was the English. So that one can be a little bit challenging when you're coming in. But what I normally say is that if I was able to do it, then you can do it. You just need to encourage yourself more. Even if you fail, you're like, oh, I am not going to stay here, I'm going to move on and I am going to do better. That's how you do it. So that can be a challenge, but at the end of the day, then you will be then you wait until you are accepted into nursing school. And you can even have a GPA, a good GPA of maybe 3.8, 4 point whatever, and depending on the people who applied, you find that you are not able to enter the class. Why? Because maybe let's assume you had a GPA of 3.8, but most people who had applied for that class had a GPA of 4.0. So if you are excess, because there's a certain number that is supposed to go to nursing school, if you are more than that and more people had a GPA of 4.0, it's not that you don't qualify. You qualify, but the number exceeded. So they will put you on a waiting list. So those things happen, and you have to be aware of those things. And, just to know, and, look at it literally and know. And that's why you find that some people will change their careers, others will wait, and it all depends on an individual. So guys, I hope that the information that I talk about in this channel, it helps. I hope that it does, and that's how we roll. So guys, like I said, we are almost to 10,000 subscribers. I want your support to reach to that 10,000, and I hope that you guys are gonna be helpful to me. I'm almost home. I've driven for 48 minutes. Oh, that's long, guys. It's very, very long. So I thank you for always supporting my YouTube channel. It's very, very hot, but it's cold. The sun is shining, but it's cold. So I always appreciate you for supporting my YouTube channel, and I look forward for more questions. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. Like I said, I'm not able to post like every day because I'm busy. I'm trying to study, and sometimes it's so hard and challenging, guys, but it has to be done. It is what it is. So guys, I wish you all the best in whatever that you're doing. Those people who are waiting for their DV lottery, it's almost here to check your results. And those who did not apply, I need you to be ready, and I need you to study more about the DV lottery. Try to gather information. Try to have everything in order so that by the time you do your application, you'll be good. So I wish you all the best. Thank you, and God bless you.